My beloved child, while the world continues as if nothing unusual is happening, there is a quiet movement taking place beyond what your eyes can see. Do not rush past this moment. There are times when the most meaningful changes begin without a sound, long before anyone notices them. What if this is one of those moments? What if, while you are questioning what comes next, another heart is slowly awakening to truths it could not understand before? Stay a little longer. The story has only just begun. Imagine a river that disappears beneath the earth for miles, unseen by everyone who walks above it. It seems gone, yet it never stops flowing. Then one day, it rises to the surface stronger than ever. Some connections unfold in exactly the same way. They are not driven by urgency but by quiet transformation. Every lesson, every unexpected pause, and every unanswered question may have been preparing a future that neither person could have recognized at an earlier time. Before you decide this is only another story, ask yourself one question. What if the greatest change has already started, even though no visible sign has appeared yet? There is something remarkable about the way hearts change. They rarely transform overnight. They evolve through reflection, understanding, and experiences that quietly reshape the way a person sees life. Imagine reading a letter that was written years ago but only now makes perfect sense. The words did not change. You did. The same can happen with meaningful relationships. Sometimes distance teaches appreciation. Sometimes silence reveals value. Sometimes time uncovers truths that constant conversation never could. You may believe nothing is happening because you cannot see it, but not every important process happens where everyone can watch. Some of the greatest turning points begin within, where no audience exists. Wait until the final moment before deciding what this message truly means, because the most important revelation has not yet arrived. The next chapter will uncover why certain memories return at unexpected times and why some moments seem to carry a meaning that is impossible to ignore. Before this chapter closes, hold on to one final thought. Imagine standing at the edge of dawn. The sky is still dark enough to believe night will last forever, yet the first light has already begun its journey across the horizon. That is how hope often appears, not all at once, but one quiet glimpse at a time. You might miss the turning point if you leave too soon. Something extraordinary is still unfolding beneath the surface, and the next chapter will reveal why timing has been working in ways that could not have been understood until now. When the next piece is uncovered, every question raised today will begin leading toward a much deeper and unforgettable answer. The atmosphere is changing now, but not in the way most people expect. Meaningful moments rarely arrive with loud announcements. They begin with quiet realizations that slowly reshape everything. Imagine standing before a field just before the first rain after a long season of dryness. Nothing appears different at first. Then, almost unnoticed, the air changes. The wind carries a new feeling. The clouds gather with quiet purpose. In the same way, the heart often begins to move long before the world can see the results. What if someone has been revisiting memories they once ignored? What if conversations they believed were ordinary now carry an entirely different meaning? Stay with this story a little longer, because the next piece changes the direction of everything. Every lesson has been preparing a moment that could not have happened any sooner, and every delay may have been creating the exact conditions needed for a deeper connection to emerge. Think about how a compass works. It does not create the destination. It simply points toward it, even when the traveler cannot yet see the road ahead. Life has moments that work the same way. A sudden sense of clarity, an unexpected feeling of peace, or a memory that refuses to fade can quietly point toward a new chapter. These moments are not asking you to rush. They are inviting you to become aware. Before you decide that nothing has changed, consider another possibility. Growth is often invisible until one single moment reveals how far the journey has truly come. Somewhere beyond your present view, another story may be unfolding with the same quiet determination. Doubts may be giving way to confidence. Uncertainty may be turning into understanding. The heart that once hesitated may finally be learning what it is unwilling to lose. Wait until the final moment before drawing any conclusions, because the most meaningful discovery is still ahead. Now the story reaches a place where every earlier clue begins connecting. The scattered pieces are no longer separate, they are slowly forming one complete picture. Yet one important question still remains unanswered. Why is this shift happening now, after so much silence? The answer is closer than it seems, but it deserves its own chapter. Stay a little longer. You may be standing closer to a turning point than you realize. The next part will reveal why perfect timing often feels mysterious until the very moment everything finally begins to make sense, and why the greatest changes are sometimes the ones that start in complete silence before transforming everything that follows. A single realization has the power to transform the meaning of every chapter that came before it. Imagine climbing a mountain through thick clouds. For most of the journey, you can only see a few steps ahead. It is easy to wonder whether the path is leading anywhere at all. Then, without warning, you rise above the clouds, and the entire landscape appears at once. Nothing about the mountain changed. Only your perspective did. Life often unfolds in the same quiet way. The questions that once seemed impossible to answer begin fitting together with surprising clarity. What if every delay has been preparing both hearts to understand something they could never have understood before? Stay a little longer, because the next thought may change the way you look at every waiting season you have ever experienced. There is another truth that many people overlook. A heart does not become stronger simply because time passes. It becomes stronger because it learns. Every challenge can bring greater patience. Every disappointment can uncover deeper wisdom. Every unexpected turn can reveal a new appreciation for what truly matters. Imagine two books being written at the same time by different authors. At first they seem unrelated, but chapter after chapter, they slowly begin telling the same story from different perspectives. That is how meaningful journeys often unfold. One path prepares one person. Another path prepares someone else. Neither can fully understand the purpose until both stories have reached the right chapter. Before you move on, ask yourself one quiet question. If growth has been happening in places you cannot see, how much could already be changing without a single visible sign? You might understand far more than you realize once the final pages begin to unfold. Now the journey stands at the edge of its greatest revelation so far. The clues are becoming clearer, the purpose is growing stronger, and the silence that once felt confusing is beginning to reveal its hidden value. Yet there is still one important layer waiting to be uncovered. It is the piece that explains why this message found you at this exact moment and why every chapter has unfolded in the order it has. Do not rush ahead. The next part will connect every reflection, every question, and every quiet realization into a picture that feels both unexpected and deeply familiar. When that moment arrives, you may discover that what seemed like waiting was quietly becoming preparation all along. Just when you think you understand the direction of this journey, another layer quietly unfolds. Imagine watching the ocean from the shore. The waves come and go, each one appearing almost identical, yet every wave leaves the shoreline slightly different than before. Change often works in the same silent way. It is not always dramatic enough to notice from one day to the next, but over time it transforms everything. What if the unseen moments in your life have been doing exactly that? What if every season of waiting has been gently shaping both paths toward a meeting that could only happen after enough growth had taken place? Stay a little longer. The answer is closer than it has ever been, but it deserves your full attention. Think for a moment about how light enters a room before sunrise. It does not arrive all at once. First there is a faint glow, then soft colors begin replacing the darkness, and only later does the full brightness appear. Meaningful connections often follow that same rhythm. They begin with subtle shifts, new understanding, quiet courage, and a willingness to see life differently. Somewhere beyond what you can currently see, another story may be unfolding with those very changes. A heart that once hesitated may now be choosing honesty over fear. A mind once filled with uncertainty may now be discovering clarity. None of these changes need an audience to be real. The strongest transformations often happen in complete silence, where only time can reveal their impact. Before you leave this chapter behind, ask yourself one question. If unseen growth has been taking place all along, could the future already be moving closer than it appears? Now every clue is beginning to point toward one extraordinary realization. The waiting, the memories, the unexpected feelings, and the quiet moments are no longer separate pieces. They are becoming one story. Yet there is still one final truth that has not been spoken. It is the truth that explains why timing has mattered more than speed, why understanding has mattered more than certainty, and why this message may have reached you exactly when it needed to. Hold on just a little longer. The next chapter will uncover the missing piece that ties every moment together, revealing a conclusion that is deeper, wiser, and more meaningful than anything imagined at the beginning of this journey. The journey is now approaching the place where every quiet clue begins carrying a deeper meaning. Imagine planting a seed and checking the soil every single day, wondering why nothing seems to be happening. Beneath the surface, roots are spreading, growing stronger with every passing moment, even though the ground appears unchanged. Then one morning, a small green shoot finally breaks through, revealing that life has been developing all along. Many of the most meaningful moments in life follow that same pattern. They are built in silence before they are ever seen. What if this season has never been about waiting without purpose? What if it has been preparing both hearts to recognize something they would have missed before? Stay with this story a little longer. The next realization depends on everything that has come before it. There is a remarkable difference between hoping for change and becoming ready for it. Read that thought again in your heart. Readiness is not measured by how long someone has waited, but by how deeply they have grown. Imagine two paths winding through a vast forest. From where you stand, they appear completely separate, yet beyond the trees they slowly begin moving toward the same destination. Neither traveler can see that meeting point until they have walked far enough. Perhaps this journey has been unfolding in exactly that way. Every lesson you have learned has quietly shaped your perspective. Every unexpected pause has taught patience. Every unanswered question has encouraged wisdom instead of haste. Somewhere beyond your present view, another journey may have been experiencing those same quiet changes. The remarkable part is not simply that hearts can change. It is that they often change at the very pace needed for a future that is stronger than the past could ever have been. Wait until the final moment before drawing your conclusion, because one essential piece is still waiting to be revealed. Now the atmosphere feels different. The mystery that surrounded the beginning of this story is gradually giving way to understanding. The title is no longer just a possibility, it has become an invitation to look beyond appearances and recognize that the greatest movements in life often happen where no one is watching. Yet one final chapter still remains. It is the chapter that gathers every question, every memory, every lesson, and every quiet sign into one complete picture. Stay a little longer. The last revelation is closer than ever before, and when it finally arrives, you may discover that the greatest surprise was never how the story ended, but how every chapter had been preparing you to understand its ending from the very beginning. Everything that has unfolded so far has been quietly leading toward this very moment. Imagine standing inside an ancient clock tower, watching countless gears move together. Each gear seems insignificant on its own, yet the smallest movement causes every other piece to shift in perfect harmony. Life often follows that same hidden rhythm. The delays that once felt disappointing, the questions that remained unanswered, and the unexpected seasons of silence may never have been separate events at all. They may have been preparing one meaningful chapter that could only begin after every lesson had found its place. Stay a little longer. Before you decide how this story ends, there is one final perspective that changes the meaning of everything you have heard. What if the greatest message was never simply that someone is trying to reach you? What if it is that both journeys have been quietly transforming in ways neither person could have imagined at the beginning? Picture two stars traveling through the night sky. From the earth, they appear impossibly far apart, yet from another perspective they belong to the same constellation. Sometimes we judge our lives from too close a distance to recognize the larger design. Every experience has been shaping your ability to understand, forgive, appreciate, and move forward with greater wisdom. At the same time, another story may have been unfolding beyond your sight, carrying its own lessons, reflections, and quiet victories. You might miss the turning point if you leave now, because the final revelation is not about proving that extraordinary things happen overnight. It is about recognizing that lasting change is built one quiet decision at a time until it becomes impossible to ignore. Now only one page remains. The mystery is no longer about whether something meaningful is unfolding, it is about why this message arrived at this exact moment in your journey. The final chapter will connect every reflection, every pause, every unexpected feeling, and every lesson into one complete understanding. It will reveal why patience mattered more than speed, why growth mattered more than certainty, and why the story could never have been told in any other order. Hold on for just a little longer. The last chapter is ready to uncover the single truth that gives purpose to everything that came before it, and when that truth is revealed, the entire journey will finally feel complete. The final truth is not hidden in a dramatic event. It is hidden in the quiet transformation that has been taking place all along. Throughout this journey, you have been invited to look beyond what is immediately visible and to recognize that the most meaningful connections are shaped long before they are fully seen. The title spoke about a heart trying to reach you, but the deeper message has always been about readiness. A meaningful connection is not sustained by hope alone. It grows through patience, understanding, sincerity, and the courage to become a better version of yourself. Every unexpected pause, every unanswered question, and every lesson you have carried has been adding another piece to a foundation that is far stronger than it first appeared. If this message found you today, let it remind you that your greatest strength is not in trying to force tomorrow to arrive. It is in continuing to grow while tomorrow quietly finds its way to you. Now look back at every chapter of this story with fresh eyes. The silence was never empty. The waiting was never meaningless. The moments that felt ordinary were quietly preparing extraordinary understanding. Imagine finishing a beautiful novel and suddenly realizing that the first page contained the key to the ending all along. That is what this journey has been building toward. The greatest revelation is not that life suddenly changes overnight. It is that every experience has been shaping your ability to recognize what truly matters when the right opportunity appears. Whether that opportunity arrives through a conversation, an unexpected encounter, or a new beginning you never anticipated, meet it with wisdom instead of haste, gratitude instead of regret, and confidence instead of fear. The future is not asking you to become someone else. It is inviting you to continue becoming the person you have been growing into with every passing chapter. As this story reaches its final page, carry one thought with you wherever life leads next. Never underestimate the quiet seasons when nothing seems to be happening. Those are often the moments when the deepest growth takes place. Continue choosing kindness when it is easier to become discouraged. Continue choosing hope when certainty has not yet arrived. Continue choosing growth over standing still. If this journey brought encouragement or a fresh perspective, consider sharing it with someone who may need these words today. And if stories like this inspire you to keep exploring purpose, awareness, and meaningful possibilities, remember to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. One day, you may look back on this very moment and realize that the greatest message was never simply that someone was trying to reach you. It was that every step of your own journey had been quietly preparing you to recognize, value, and protect a truly meaningful connection when the right time finally arrived.